Welcome to Lesson 7, Building an Agile Portfolio. Let's start by understanding the aim of the system. Again, we go to our mentor, Edwards Deming, and he notes that a system is a network of interdependent components that work together to try to accomplish the aim of the system. A system must have an aim. Without an aim, there is no system. Well, what is our aim, right? What is our system here? Our system is the portfolio, the collection of value streams that deliver solutions to our customer. And we'll start this discussion by talking about the strategic themes that we use to define the interface between the enterprise itself and the portfolio. So, collaborating on strategic themes connect each SAFe portfolio to the enterprise business strategy. So here's our enterprise and here's our portfolio. Well, how do we make that communication? Well, we talked before about sometimes a portfolio executive might tell us a little bit about what we're doing, but at the enterprise level and at the portfolio level, how do we know that we have the right connection? Well, that connection for us is this simple kind of bulleted notion of a set of strategic themes. These are differentiators. These are the things that mean that this portfolio this year is going to help us accomplish some significant changes that we want to accomplish at the enterprise level. And what process is that? Well, of course, that depends upon your enterprise, but we certainly hope that the portfolio stakeholders are involved, as are those who define the overall enterprise strategy. How do you formulate them? Well, there's no one way for strategy formulation. We've described one here. What's important is that it's a fairly disciplined process, not that it's the law of the loudest voice or the most highly paid person in the organization, the Hippo rule. It's a process by where the right people are engaged in looking at everything from what's driving the enterprise, what investment we need to have here, what are the financial goals of the portfolio, what are the mission, vision, and core values of that particular set of value streams, what is the context, what is their current state of being, if you will, in their larger ecosystem and environment, how we allocate budgets for that, the competitive environment, what the current investment looks like, and net result. And one outcome of that is a communication. And that communication we captured in this very simple construct called Portfolio Strategic Themes. So here's an example. A retail e-commerce company that we were involved with had two. So they entered a PI planning session, our typical boundary, and we asked the executives, what are the real differentiators for the upcoming few PIs? And they said, well, this year we've got two biggies. We want to start to change the demographic of the people that we appeal to, and that's going to put pressure on our mobile apps. It's going to put pressure on the UX overall. It's going to put pressure on the ability to display and configure the things that people want to buy. And by the way, our inventory costs are still too high. So two totally unlike things are really going to help us determine how much better we can operate this year than that. So that's just an example, a real-world example of two strategic themes for one particular enterprise, in this case, a retail e-commerce company. Well, when we have them, right, what do we do with them? Well, they're pretty material. They're going to help us adjust the art and value stream funding to track to the changing portfolio priorities. So these budgets aren't fixed for all time, right? Each value stream has its own budget, as we'll discuss in a second, but this could change, right? Over any period of time, this value stream might be the one that has all the mobile stuff in it. Well, if I'm appealing to a younger demographic, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to double down on my investment in mobile. Another one might be the one that's involved in managing warehouse supplies. So I may want to double down on my investment there. Well, that means that, budgeting is a zero-sum game. That means I may have to invest relatively less somewhere else. So that process helps us understand how to modify funding over time. We'll talk about epics next, but the strategic themes are one of the things that we use to determine whether or not a particular epic of interest here, right, is a good epic. How we prioritize the larger work that we do is based in large part on how it maps to the strategic themes. And of course, it influences the vision and roadmap. They're driven very heavily by the objectives, not just the local objectives, what we need to solve our customer problems, but guess what? I don't have a customer in a younger demographic, so I really need to address that strategic theme to make sure that I'm making the investments that are necessary. So I want my vision and roadmap to include updates to my mobility app, new abilities to configure the products from a mobile app, the things that we used to be able to do only from the desktop. And of course, they influence the economic framework because they're really part of the decisions that drive us to make the right investments. They're part of the decisions that allow us to help manage our CapEx and OpEx exposure in that process. So let's take a minute and an offline exercise for you. Find your key stakeholders and work with them to identify 3 strategic themes, 3 or 4, no more than 4, that help define your portfolio and strategy in the upcoming year. Now, I did this fairly recently with a group of executives, And they came back with, well, it was just kind of off the cuff really, so it wasn't really a reasoned process. They came back with, we wanted to manage our quality, productivity, and cost. And think about that for a second. Well, who doesn't want to do that? Your strategic themes shouldn't be the obvious. They shouldn't be things that could be applied to every single company everywhere else. They need to be the things that are the true differentiators between your current state and your future state, and the true differentiators between your business and other business. So this is not repeating the obvious. Don't forget to build a CRM system, or don't forget to build a crop combine. They are the things that need to be different in the upcoming year. When you've identified them, okay, sit down with management if they weren't involved in that process and see if they agree. Because if they don't agree, then you really had a different notion of what your portfolio was responsible for than they had, and you're frankly out of alignment with the strategy of the company. Or maybe the managers themselves haven't yet tracked to the evolving strategy of the portfolio. In any case, we want to take the opportunity to align on those strategic themes so that the people building the portfolio, this is the SAFE instance, the SAFE portfolio instance over here, and the people that are responsible, the fiduciaries for the enterprise, have a process by which we come to alignment and we agree. And we want to do that as frequently as necessary to make sure that we're building the right thing. And any differences of opinion are going to be really big deals when it comes down to, wow, you didn't build the right thing, or you didn't tell us that this new initiative, this appeal to a younger demographic, was a critical item, so we didn't move our configuration capability to the mobile app. We didn't know it was that important. So alignment on strategic themes, we think about, entropy of the universe is always increasing. Second law of thermodynamics. We need to take the time to constrain and to collapse that entropy into a set of agreements that says we're going to do this, this, and this. So take that opportunity when you have a chance to define the strategic themes that will help define your portfolio in the upcoming year.